Hollywood and fans around the world are buzzing with disbelief as Mark Hamill, the legendary actor who brought Luke Skywalker to life, unveils a transformation that has left everyone talking. For decades, Hamill has been an icon, a symbol of heroism, hope, and timeless storytelling. But recently, new photos and public appearances have revealed a dramatic change in the beloved actor, sparking concern, admiration, and endless speculation. At 74, Mark Hamill has lived a life few could imagine. From his breakout role in Star Wars that turned him into a global phenomenon, to decades of voice-acting mastery as the Joker in Batman, the animated series, Hamill has continuously reinvented himself. But now fans are wondering what's really behind his most recent transformation, and whether it's simply a creative choice or something far more personal. Reports suggest Hamill has undergone a significant physical and emotional shift over the past year. Once known for his warm smile and youthful spirit, his latest public appearances show a man deeply reflective, perhaps even changed by time, experience, and loss. Those close to him say he's been focusing on his health, stepping away from Hollywood's chaos, and embracing a quieter life filled with introspection. But it isn't just his appearance that's causing a stir, it's his attitude. Once the embodiment of optimism, Hamill has recently spoken with surprising vulnerability about aging, legacy, and what it means to move on from Star Wars after nearly 5 decades. Fans who grew up idolizing him as a galactic hero are now seeing a man unmasked, honest, unfiltered, and profoundly human. So, what sparked this dramatic transformation? Is it part of a new chapter in his career, or the result of something much deeper? Stay with us, because the truth behind Mark Hamill's transformation is more powerful and emotional than anyone expected. For decades, Mark Hamill has been the face of a generation, the farm boy from Tatooine who became a galactic legend. His journey from a young actor in 1977's Star Wars, A New Hope, to a revered Hollywood icon is one of cinema's greatest stories. But recently, fans have been shocked by a new chapter in Hamill's life, one marked by transformation, introspection, and a quiet departure from the man they once knew. Those closest to Hamill say the change didn't happen overnight. It began slowly after years of navigating fame, grief, and the pressures of living up to a legacy few could match. When the Star Wars sequel trilogy ended, so too did a defining era of his life. For the first time in nearly 50 years, Hamill found himself stepping back from the universe that made him famous and confronting what life meant beyond Luke Skywalker. In interviews over the past year, fans began noticing something different. The twinkle that always defined Hamill's humor was still there, but it carried a softer, more reflective tone. He spoke openly about aging, mortality, and the toll of losing dear friends, especially his beloved co-star Carrie Fisher, whose passing in 2016 deeply affected him. "When Carrie died," he once said quietly, "something inside all of us changed. The laughter was still there, but it was different." The years that followed were a period of reevaluation for Hamill. He began turning down major Hollywood projects, choosing instead to focus on smaller, more meaningful work: voice acting, independent films, and mentorship. "Fame isn't a reward," he said in one recent interview. "It's a responsibility. And sometimes it takes you decades to understand how heavy that can feel." Physically, too, fans have noticed the transformation. Once known for his boyish energy and sharp features, Hamill now embraces his natural aging process. His silver beard, leaner frame, and calm demeanor give him an almost monk-like presence, a reflection of peace, not decline. Rather than hiding from the camera, he's leaned into authenticity, saying, "I've spent my life playing heroes. Now, I just want to be human." Behind that honesty lies a man who has weathered both personal and professional storms. In 1977, at the height of his early fame, Hamill nearly lost his career in a car accident that left his face permanently scarred. The recovery was grueling, both physically and emotionally, but it taught him resilience. Decades later, that same quiet strength seems to define his current chapter. Friends describe him as content, grounded, and more focused on gratitude than ever before. Mark has always been philosophical, one longtime colleague shared. But lately he's become almost spiritual. He talks about finding peace, about letting go of things that no longer serve him. He's not trying to prove anything anymore. Even online, where Hamill has long been a fan favorite for his humor and kindness, his tone has shifted. His posts now often carry messages about empathy, perspective, and living with purpose. "Be kind," he recently wrote to his followers. "You never know who needs it the most." What's perhaps most striking about Hamill's transformation is how he's using it to connect more deeply with others. He's become an advocate for mental health awareness, urging fans not to confuse aging with fading away. "We don't lose our light as we get older," he said during a public appearance last spring. "We just learn to let it shine differently." For millions who grew up watching him save the galaxy, that sentiment hit home. Mark Hamill, the eternal symbol of hope and heroism, is still leading by example. But this time, his lesson isn't about defeating villains or wielding lightsabers. It's about acceptance, humility, and the courage to evolve. And while his transformation may have surprised fans, it's clear that for Hamill, this change isn't an ending. It's a beginning. A new chapter where the man behind the legend is finally free to be himself. For much of his life, Mark Hamill was known for his humor, humility, and boundless energy. Yet beneath the laughter and charm, there has always been a deeply emotional man, one profoundly shaped by friendship, loyalty, and loss. His recent transformation, fans now realize, is not simply about aging or stepping back from Hollywood. It's about reflection, about healing from decades of emotional weight that fame, tragedy, and time have placed upon him. When Carrie Fisher passed away in 2016, it left a wound in Hamill's heart that never fully healed. The two had shared an unbreakable bond since their Star Wars days, a friendship filled with teasing, love, and shared battles against the overwhelming spotlight of fame. "Carrie was my sister," he said in a tribute. "We argued, we laughed, we drove each other crazy, but we loved each other." Her absence left a silence he struggled to fill. The loss came just as Hamill was preparing to return to Star Wars in The Last Jedi, a film that required him to portray an older, broken Luke Skywalker, a man haunted by the past. Ironically, the role mirrored his own emotional state. "Playing Luke again was harder than I thought," he admitted. "It forced me to face things I'd been avoiding, aging, loss, and what happens when legends fade. Then came more goodbyes, to co-stars like Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca, Kenny Baker, R2-D2, and David Prowse, Darth Vader. One by one, the family that built Star Wars began to disappear. Each passing left Hamill more contemplative. "It's like watching pieces of your history drift away," he once said softly. "You start realizing how temporary everything really is." These moments reshaped Hamill's perspective on life and fame. Once driven by career milestones and fan expectations, he began focusing on the human side of existence, the moments that truly matter. He started spending more time with his wife Marilu, to whom he's been married since 1978, and their children. Friends say his home life has become his safe haven, a place filled with warmth, laughter, and simplicity. It was during these quiet years that Hamill began speaking publicly about his evolving outlook. He expressed that fame, while thrilling, often robs actors of normalcy. "You can lose sight of who you are," he explained. "When people see you as a character instead of a person, it becomes easy to forget where the mask ends." Hamill's transformation also reflects a growing sense of gratitude. He often reminds fans how fortunate he feels to have experienced such a remarkable career. "I've been lucky," he said. "So many people dream of one great role. I got to live one that changed cinema forever." But even as he acknowledges that gift, He admits there were times he longed to escape the weight of being Luke Skywalker. In his later years, Hamill's reflections have turned inward, not with regret, but with acceptance. He's spoken about making peace with aging, understanding that every wrinkle, every scar tells a story. "I look in the mirror now and see every moment of my life," he shared. "And I'm okay with that. I've earned every line on my face." This newfound acceptance has endeared him to fans all over again. The world sees in him not just the hero of their childhood, but the wisdom of a man who has lived, lost, and learned. His transformation has become a symbol of resilience, a reminder that even legends must face the passage of time with grace. As he steps back from Hollywood's spotlight, Hamill hasn't disappeared. He's simply shifted his focus to what truly matters: family, peace, and purpose. He now uses his platform to spread positivity, encourage kindness, and champion creative freedom for younger generations. "If I can leave behind one lesson," he said, "it's that happiness doesn't come from being adored. It comes from being authentic." Mark Hamill's transformation, then, is not one of decline, it's one of evolution. The man who once taught the world about the Force is now teaching a far deeper truth: that the greatest strength of all lies not in youth or fame, but in the courage to grow older with an open heart. When Mark Hamill began withdrawing from the spotlight, Hollywood couldn't help but take notice. The man once seen as the eternal face of Star Wars had always been a symbol of optimism, adventure, and childlike wonder. But his recent transformation, quieter, introspective, and deeply grounded, left many in the industry reflecting on what it truly means to grow old in fame's unrelenting light. For decades, Hamill was known not only as Luke Skywalker, but also as one of the kindest and most humble actors in Hollywood. Directors praised his professionalism, co-stars adored his humor, and fans saw him as approachable, a rare quality in an industry built on ego. So, when he began turning down high-profile offers and speaking more openly about slowing down, people wondered what had changed behind the scenes. Colleagues say Hamill's choice didn't come from burnout or bitterness. Instead, it came from wisdom, the kind that only time and experience can teach. Mark realized that he didn't need to keep chasing the next big project, one producer shared. He wanted to live life, not just perform it. Hollywood's initial reaction was mixed. Some saw his decision as a quiet retirement, while others admired his courage to step away on his own terms. Younger actors, especially those who grew up idolizing him, found inspiration in his authenticity. "He's showing us that you can be successful without losing yourself," said one voice actor who credits Hamill for shaping his career. Still, Hamill hasn't completely disappeared from the creative world. His voice acting, especially as the Joker, continues to define an entire genre of animation. Directors often describe his performances as masterclasses in emotional nuance. Even now, when he takes on new projects, they're chosen not for fame, but for passion. "If something doesn't speak to me," he explained, "I'd rather spend that time with my grandkids." His honesty about aging has also resonated deeply within the entertainment community. In an industry obsessed with youth, Hamill's refusal to hide behind cosmetic perfection has been both refreshing and powerful. He often says, "The best thing about getting older is caring less about what doesn't matter." That philosophy has inspired many of his peers to embrace authenticity over image. Friends like Harrison Ford have publicly supported his outlook. In one interview, Ford affectionately called Hamill a genuine soul in a world that too often forgets what matters. Even filmmakers like Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams have praised his recent clarity, saying it reflects the very essence of the character he made legendary. Luke's final message in The Last Jedi, that no one's ever really gone, feels even truer when you see who Mark has become, Abrams said. While Hollywood continues to chase new stars and fresh faces, Hamill's graceful evolution stands as a reminder that legacies aren't built on constant reinvention. They're built on truth. He's teaching a new generation of actors that fame is fleeting, but integrity lasts forever. "You don't need to stay relevant," Hamill once tweeted. You just need to stay real. Outside of acting, he's become something of a quiet mentor. Younger performers who meet him often describe their encounters as life-changing. "He talks to you like a friend, not a celebrity," said one actor from a recent voice project. "He listens, really listens. That's rare in this business." Hollywood's reaction over time has shifted from curiosity to deep respect. Mark Hamill isn't stepping away from art. He's simply redefining what art means to him. No longer chasing blockbuster fame, he's building a legacy rooted in compassion, humility, and creative freedom. In a world where so many stars struggle to find peace after the spotlight fades, Hamill's journey offers hope. He's proving that there's beauty in slowing down and choosing authenticity over applause. His transformation has not only moved fans but also challenged Hollywood to rethink its definition of success. As one director recently said, Mark Hamill didn't just play a hero, he became one. Not through his roles, but through the grace with which he's living his life. As the years pass, Mark Hamill's legacy continues to grow far beyond the silver screen. While many remember him first as Luke Skywalker, the boy who became a Jedi, his true legacy lies not in a single role, but in the authenticity, humility, and heart he's carried throughout his entire career. Today, as Hollywood evolves and the world reflects on the icons who shaped it, Hamill's story stands out as one of grace, growth, and timeless influence. For nearly 5 decades, Hamill embodied courage and hope, both on screen and off. He wasn't just a movie star, he was a mentor, a voice of kindness, and a symbol of perseverance. Through every era of Star Wars, every fan convention, and every social media post, he remained genuine, never allowing fame to overshadow his humanity. "I was lucky to be part of something extraordinary," he once said, "but what I treasure most are the people it brought into my life." That humility is what makes his legacy so special. In an industry where many cling desperately to youth and fame, Hamill chose a different path, one grounded in gratitude and authenticity. He never tried to rewrite his image or erase his past. Instead, he celebrated it. To him, growing older wasn't something to hide. It was a privilege. "The lines on my face are proof that I've lived," he told fans. "And I wouldn't trade them for anything." His influence reaches far beyond acting. As a voice artist, Hamill redefined what it means to bring a character to life. His portrayal of the Joker remains one of the most iconic in animation history, a perfect contrast to the hero he played in Star Wars. That duality, light and dark, hope and madness, showcased his incredible range and passion for storytelling. Many in the industry still cite him as one of the most versatile and respected actors of his generation. But perhaps his greatest impact lies in the way he treated people. Fans who met Hamill often recall his warmth, his humor, and his genuine interest in their stories. Whether on a movie set or at a fan convention, he greeted everyone as an equal. "He always made you feel seen," said one longtime Star Wars crew member. He wasn't Mark Hamill, the celebrity. He was just Mark. Even now, Hamill continues to use his voice for good, advocating for creativity, empathy, and unity in an often divided world. His online presence is a blend of humor and heart, encouraging fans to stay kind, curious, and hopeful. "We're all connected," he once wrote. "If I've learned anything, it's that the smallest act of kindness can make the biggest difference." In recent years, as he's stepped back from major roles, Hamill has focused on legacy projects, not for fame, but to give back. He's been involved in educational programs, mentoring young filmmakers and supporting charities close to his heart. His message to the next generation is simple but profound. Don't chase fame. Chase meaning. That's what truly defines the legacy of Mark Hamill. Not the lightsabers, not the fame, but the meaning behind it all. He showed the world that you can be a legend and still be humble, that you can face aging without fear. And that kindness is the most powerful force of all. As fans look back on his career, they see more than just an actor. They see a man who lived with integrity. From the bright-eyed farm boy on Tatooine to the wise, reflective artist of today, Hamill's journey mirrors that of his most famous character, a hero who never stopped believing in the light. And though he may have said goodbye to certain roles, his spirit continues to inspire millions. Every time a child picks up a toy lightsaber, every time a fan replays that iconic Star Wars scene, Mark Hamill's influence lives on, because true legends don't fade. They evolve. They teach, and they remind us what it means to be human. And in that sense, Mark Hamill's legacy will never end. It will only grow brighter with time.